Sami.
Hi. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks. And thanks for the invitation to address the conference. It's been really good. I learned quite a lot from the speakers and the contributions, and I think it was a good debate as well. Although time was always pressing. And if you don't mind, I might get the chance to comment on the debate about free speech, whether we should ban speakers of certain opinions or not. Something that Norma Finkelstein was talking about. Um, but I would like to start by stressing the international implications uh, of the anti-Semitism campaign that was kick-started inside the Labour Party, which eventually led to the removal of Jeremy Corbyn as party leader following the elections. Um, the international implications are quite important because what the silencing of the critics of Israel is going to lead to, if successful, would be to silence any sympathies for the Palestinian people. Because critics of Israel usually refer to the oppression of the Palestinians. And silencing critics of Israel is one of the broader aims of the campaign to silence the left, socialists, critics of Israel in general, and the targeting of anti-Zionist and non-Zionist Jews is a very significant feature of the campaign, whereby Israel understands and the leading Zionist organizations understand quite well, and have learned from history, that critics of an imperialist policy or of a policy of expansion, critics that belong to that country that practices such racist or expansionist or warlike policies, internal critics are extremely important for any just cause. And Jews who are prepared to declare their anti-Zionism or strong criticism of Israel are seen to be very dangerous by the Zionists, by Israel. So that's on the one hand. On the other, there is even broader reason why this campaign to silence the critics of Israel has been latched upon by ruling classes, especially in the imperialist countries like Britain, like the United States. They latched onto it because they can see that criticisms of Israel is championed by the left, by socialists, by people who call for social justice for the Palestinians. Therefore, to stress and to silence critics of Israel has a twofold character. One is to silence criticism of Israel in general, Israel being a close ally of imperialist countries. But secondly, it helps to silence the left and socialists and prevents international solidarity. Because once you accuse somebody of being anti-Semitic, you're saying they are racist. Therefore, they will be silenced automatically because there is a policy of not allowing racists to express their views. So this is quite significant, and it has to be borne in mind that this campaign for free speech is very critical in terms of its implications, extremely important. And coupled with that attempt to silence, if you like, the voices of justice, is to call people who criticize Israel or criticize Zionism as being extremists. And the label extremists is usually being brought forward to attach it to critics of Israel. Because before this campaign about anti-Semitism kicked off in the Labour Party, the label extremist was used to silence critics. And to combine it with the anti-Semitism label, it has become quite a dangerous affair altogether to silence people. And while I'm talking about this, I would like to refer everybody, and probably most people here have read it, to a letter which I will post in the chat window, a letter written by people, by Jews of Israeli origin and others, but mostly Jews of Israeli origin, who are academics, practicing academics in Britain. And they addressed their letter to British universities to oppose the adoption of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. And I am posting it right now. So please use it as a reference, because it has a lot of links as well. The letter itself online has a lot of links to various documents, and it's an extremely useful reference letter to British universities to reject the adoption of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. And in case I run out of time, I would like to put my point of view about the debate about silencing critics and whether the principle of free speech should be an absolute or restrictive type of definition. Listening to Norman Finkelstein, I would say that I fully agree with Norman here. I think he is right. I think we should not fear opposite opinions, including those of racists, including those even of fascists. And I don't say that lightly. And we should not confuse periods of civil war where people want to defend themselves against neo-Nazis or fascists and go on and stand behind the barricades. This is a different type of debate. We are not talking here about people being prepared to go and defend themselves, defend minorities by force if necessary. It becomes a war of self-defense. This is a different debate from the question of engaging in debate and opposing other views. I think there is no principle which is absolute or is absolutely right 100%. Even if you leave 99.99%, there is still a bit of doubt. And that bit of doubt allows for room for debate, for challenging opinions. The weapon of censorship, the weapon of silencing people and critics has been traditionally the weapon of the ruling classes, the weapon of the oppressors, the weapon of people who killed and wiped out minorities. Whether those minorities were in the Middle Ages who believed in the scientific method or actual ethnic or other minorities. It has been a weapon to silence critics by the right wing, by ruling classes. And the left traditionally must uphold. If they don't uphold the principle of free speech, then they are conceding ground. They are conceding ground in principle to opinions that suggest that other opinions should be silenced. No, we should not be frightened. There is a difference between manning barricades in civil war and engaging in debate like a situation today in Britain. If minorities are attacked by fascists physically, then obviously we should all encourage that minority to defend itself, and we go in solidarity to defend them against any fascist aggression or use of violence against them. Calls for self-defense is nothing to do with the debate against fascism, the principles that they advocate, the racist ideologies that they might advocate. And Norman is right. We should not start debating who should we silence. Who is the real fascist? Who is the half fascist? Who is the fascist who is prepared to hold a gun and kill somebody else? And who is advocating neo-fascism? Is Nigel Farage a fascist who should be silenced? Or is he a right-wing nutter? Or there are a lot of issues involved in terms of trying to decide who to not platform, unplatform, or silence. So therefore, I think we should be careful there. The left has the should have the courage of its convictions, argue its point of view. There is no point of view which is absolutely 100% right. There is no such thing. Science hasn't come up with it yet. So we need to engage, we need to be brave in our opinions, and truth will come out. Truth comes out through practice. Truth comes out through being absolutely materialistic and objective and refer to the evidence and so on. And this is the way to defeat right-wing fascism and racism, and not by trying to shut down debate. We will be that much stronger. And I appeal to the elected steering committee when it gets elected to look at that issue more carefully, so that we are not immediately accused of shutting down debate. And
Sami, could you wind up now?
I am exactly winding up. That was my last sentence in a way, that we should go forward, and this campaign is extremely important. Uphold the right to free speech, and withstand the pressures that are piling up against people who speak out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sami.